2025 is over, so in this video, I want to show you my favorite paintings from this year. First up, this year started with a huge win because I finished this big canvas that I started working on way back in 2023. This is a 3 foot by 4 foot gallery canvas, and for this painting, I really wanted to use a lot of different techniques. There are a lot of different layers of texture, drips, lots of blending and different art styles, but overall, I wanted a grungy, graffiti aesthetic feel to this character collage. I added characters from some of my older paintings, some new characters that I sketched out just for this piece, and the end result is a painting that I love so much. Over the course of 2 years, I really only worked on this painting between projects or I would do live painting at events, and specifically, I painted this piece for this space in my art studio. And yes, this painting is available, but it's very expensive. It's not listed on my website because this is the only painting I've ever made just for myself. So it's going to take a pretty penny to get it away from me. I also finished this mural for 3D Eats in Pensacola, and once the ladders were down and the job was done, I realized these are really interesting pieces that were cut off and left over. I couldn't just toss them out because they have too much character. So after finishing the mural, I thought it would be really cool to paint one of these pieces in this graffiti abstract art style that I've done. I love painting characters in this art style because this chibi graffiti art vibe really reminds me of the street art that I would see while living near Atlanta. And a little robot is the perfect choice to bring this salvaged piece of plywood back to life. Since this isn't painted on a traditional canvas or wood panel, I also had it framed after it was finished to help hide the rough edges and to allow you to hang the painting. It's a literal piece of the mural reborn as a standalone character painting. This next painting is a 16 by 20 and it has a pretty interesting and kind of bittersweet story to it. I entered an art competition and this is the only competition I've ever done, and there are way more artists competing than I could have ever guessed. At the competition, they picked a category that everyone was supposed to paint in, and we only had 4 hours to start and finish a painting. The category that they picked was rust and decay, which was the only category I didn't have something prepared for. So of course, they picked rust and decay. The only thing that I could think to paint was a rusty car. And no matter how proud I was to have started and finished a painting within 4 hours, I was not surprised when I turned around and saw the other 20 paintings of rusty trucks and cars. So needless to say, I did not win the competition. But once I got home, I decided to add my flair to this painting, which honestly, that's exactly what I should have done in the first place because after I added Ed, Ed, and Eddie, the Kanker sisters, and Johnny 2x4, this painting became instantly popular and only lasted 2 weeks before going to a new home. Next up on the 2025 bingo card is this Magikarp fan art piece that I have painted in my most unique painting series. This is 2 fully painted canvases on 16 by 20 and 11 by 14, and after they're painted, I mount them together to create an interactive 3D art piece that you can look inside of. I started this painting series in 2017, and this year I decided I need to start focusing on these paintings more because it's the most unique series I've ever done, and they stand out more than anything else to every show I go to. I love that you can see the bones of the Magikarp in this piece, and before it was done, I just had to add the Pokeball in his stomach because, come on, that's pretty funny. Since I wanted to start focusing on this 3D series more, I decided to go back and update a couple of older paintings. I started with this one titled Zoe. It was damaged at a show where my grid wall came crashing down, and I spent an entire year just staring at the damaged part of this painting. I was so upset because originally it turned out so great, it was so popular, and then in an instant, it was ruined, which made the sad eyes even harder to look at. But now this painting has a new lease on life after cutting it open and adding bones behind the octopus, which is one of my favorite parts because I get so many comments of people saying, octopuses don't have bones. I know, that's what makes it awesome. Hey, a quick break from the artwork. Do me a favor, look down to see if you're subscribed. If you are, that's awesome. If you aren't, it's that easy. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, doesn't sign you up for anything. It just helps grow the channel so I can keep doing art. Alright, back to it. The next painting due for an upgrade was this cat dog painting. At one point it fell and one of my grid wall hooks went right through it, which made my heart sink to the bottom of my stomach because the color, contrast, and simplicity of this painting is so great. It's one of the first paintings in this outline series that I was working on, so the obvious solution for this one was to paint the same character in the same pose in full color, which creates this amazing composition between the outline and the full color character. So now, this one's back on the roster and ready to be sold. On a side note, after having several paintings ruined by these grid wall hooks, I have since switched to hangers, so now I don't have to worry about one of these hooks stabbing through one of my canvases. Moving on to the next painting. I was on a roll with cut painting, so I was eager to do another one, and the next one up on the fan art list was Bart Simpson. For this one, I wanted to do a reverse version of the cat dog painting I just finished, so the outside painting is fully painted and then the interior is an outline of Bart that lines up to give it the same great composition as the cat dog, but it also adds this cool postmodern feel. After it was finished, I was really hoping this painting would be more popular, but so far this one hasn't quite reached its audience. So if it doesn't sell soon, I think I might go back on this one and change the inside painting, and I've already got a few great ideas for cool things that I could do with it. And moving right along to the next painting, I had a horror convention booked this year, and one of my all-time favorite horror icons is Pennywise. So I decided to do yet another cut open 3D painting for this convention. The outside layer is the new version of Pennywise played by Skarsgård, and the inside painting is the classic Tim Curry Pennywise. And honestly, I don't think I could align these paintings up any better. When you look at the inside, you can see all of Tim Curry, and then when you look at them together, it just looks seamless. I almost wish I hadn't sold this painting because then I could get more B-roll of how amazing this turned out. But I'm really glad that it did because bills. For the same horror convention, I wanted to paint the Crypt Keeper. This one's on an 11 by 14 wood panel, and originally I just wanted to do this as an outline painting. But this character is so amazing, and honestly, there are too many fine lines, and I didn't want to lose any details because the paint splatter in the background. Which I think was the best decision for this painting because it looks incredible. Especially with this frame that I added to it after it was finished. So I couldn't be any happier with the way that this looks, which is why it's on my favorites painting list for 2025. And just think of how great it would look hanging on your wall. Just saying. Next up, this painting is one of my current favorites because I think I want to expand this into a new series. This painting is inspired by the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, but it's not a direct reference to that cartoon. Unlike any of my previous fan art pieces, I reimagined Grimm and I integrated a portal that's reminiscent to the one in Rick and Morty. But again, it's not the same portal. It's just very similar. What I find most compelling about this painting is that if I never said anything about the references to Grimm or Rick and Morty, then you might never know. The influences are so subtle, they remain hidden until revealed. This creates a layered experience where the viewer first sees an original concept, followed by a wave of nostalgia once the references are known. And I still haven't decided if I want to expand this into a full series or not. If you think I should, let me know in the comments, and also tell me who you think that I should paint next. To close out 2025, I have one last piece to show you. This painting is on a 16 by 20 canvas, and this series is deeply personal to me. The whole style actually started as a joke. I sketched a goofy looking unicorn just to mess with my daughter, and I had zero intentions of ever putting it on canvas. But as soon as she saw the sketch, her immediate response was, "Please don't paint that." So naturally, I had to. Surprisingly, that unicorn became one of my most popular paintings. It brought a sense of joy and playful humor to my portfolio, and it even caught the attention of someone that changed my life. Over the years, I've added several characters to this series, and Flurp the Dragon is the latest addition. Between the complementary colors and the layers of blending, I think this might be one of my favorite paintings that I've ever created. And that is a wrap on my 2025 favorites. I hope you enjoyed these paintings and seeing the stories behind these canvas. If you want to support my work or add a piece to your own collection, check out the link to my website in the description below. Also, make sure to leave a comment letting me know which one of these paintings was your favorite. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time.